Hello, I'm Claire Smith and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be my September perfume tray. I'm also going to review my perfume tray from August. You may remember last month I made my first ever perfume tray. It was something that I'd never thought that I would get on with, and I wanted to see how I would react to having only 10 fragrances to choose from. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire Smith. I make videos all about perfume, perfume science, perfume history, perfume psychology, and I also just do some straight perfume reviews and also fun perfume tags. So if that kind of thing interests you and you haven't already done so, then please do consider subscribing, and please also like this video if you do like this kind of content. So yeah, with perfume trays, I was just worried that I would get bored basically, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't get bored in that month. And I have to say, towards the end of the month, I was sort of aching to reach for something else. And I think I'm going to change up my perfume tray for next month and really do something that actually somebody suggested in the comments of one of my last videos. And they were saying that when they do their own perfume trays, they select from their selection on their tray for Monday to Friday, and then at the weekend they get to choose anything from their collection. And I think that's really what I want to do going forward. I think really a perfume tray for me is going to be something that's going to save me time when I'm going to work, and it's not going to be necessarily something that I always want to reach for on the weekend. So I think I'm going to do that going forward. I think that's a really good idea. So just reviewing what I wore back in August, I'm just going to talk you through my most worn and my least worn from my previous tray, and tell you how I got on with those fragrances really. So my least worn from August was actually Hermès Le Jardin de Montcieli. This fragrance, I think in my previous video I'd said that this one doesn't feel like me, and whilst I enjoy wearing it, I don't feel like it suits me that much. I have to really be in the mood for this one, and it has to be quite hot for me to want to reach for it. And I think in August in the UK it really wasn't hot for too many days. So I guess that's why I only wore this one once. So that's my least worn, Le Jardin de Montcieli. So conversely, my most worn fragrances from August were the two that I actually took on holiday with me. So I went to France for a week during August, and normally I take, 6, 7, 8 fragrances on holiday with me. It's absolutely ridiculous, but I just always get to a point where I can never really choose. And I feel like having a fragrance tray really helped me with those choices. And I was in a huge rush when I was packing, so that was really useful. So the two that I ended up taking on holiday with me were Alluring Fig by Theodoros Kalatinis and also Tea Tonic by Miller Harris. And I remember saying in my last video that I didn't feel I knew Tea Tonic very well. And actually from having taken it on holiday, I feel like I know it much better. And I really, really like it. It's got this real kind of suede-y feel, which I really enjoy, but it's also a fresh citrus fragrance, soft citrus fragrance. And then it's also got this underlying tea note, which is very relaxing and, really suitable for a warm summer holiday, really. But yeah, those are the two that I took. I wore both of those 5 times each during August. So yeah, they got a lot of wear during August. So now I'm going to choose my 10 fragrances for September, and I'm going to try and choose fragrances that are going to lead me through the transition from summer into autumn. So I want fragrances that are both rich and enveloping, but also ones that are fresher, and also some fragrances that are perhaps even minimalistic. I'm going to be going to work a lot in September, so I think that's really a real safe choice for me to have that kind of range. So the first fragrance I'm going to choose is going to be on the richer side, and I'm going to choose Tom Ford's Orchid Soleil. So this fragrance is long discontinued. I now have a backup bottle, so I can wear this one as much as I want to, and I just thought I'd put it in my tray and just enjoy it for September. And this fragrance always makes me think of harvest time, so I think this fragrance is really appropriate for now. I think the thing I really love about this fragrance is the dry down. So it has chestnut in it, and it's just really creamy, and it has this kind of beautiful vanilla as well. So that's my first choice, Orchid Soleil. So my next choice is going to be one from Guerlain, and this one's Terracotta. And I really feel a bit sad that I didn't put this on my fragrance tray for August, because I feel like this is very much a summer evening kind of fragrance. It always makes me think of being on luxurious yachts and brown suntan skin, really, this fragrance. It's very sort of Saint-Tropez in my mind. But this fragrance, I think it just really suits the end of summer. It has that kind of golden feel about it. And I think, whilst Orchid Soleil is a beautiful fragrance, it is very, very creamy, whereas this one's sort of sweeter, and it just has this kind of coconutty feel in the dry down that I think just marks it out. It's very, very subtle, but it just marks it out as a little bit different from the other kind of solar fragrances that I have. So Guerlain's Terracotta is number 2. So my third choice is going to be really an all year round fragrance for me, but I think this one really does shine more when it's slightly warmer. And this one's Versace's Crystal Noir EDT. This is my last Versace fragrance in my collection. This fragrance is very, very peppery in the beginning, and it has this kind of creamy, sort of figgy coconut feel to it. And the sandalwood, I think, really contributes to that as well. This one's just very cool smelling, and I find it very refreshing whilst it's also quite enveloping. I think the cashmere is probably what's giving it that pepperiness at the beginning. This fragrance really makes me think of Alien, and I don't really know why, and maybe it's the cashmere in this. I don't think cashmere is actually listed, but I'm really sure there's cashmere in this fragrance. It really does have a feel of Alien about it, and I think that's why I like this one. So that's Versace Crystal Noir EDT. So my next choices are going to be sweeter and fresher fragrances, and the first one I'm going to choose in this category is going to be one from a little British Nigerian brand called Ori. They sometimes call themselves Good Solomon, and I'm never really sure what their actual brand name is, but yeah, it's worth checking out. So this one's Jardin, and this fragrance always makes me think of rock, seaside rock. It's got that kind of minty feel, and it's also quite sort of sugary sweet almost. But it also has ginger, some jasmine. It's just a really kind of fresh, zingy, but also relaxing kind of fragrance. And I think that's really why I'm choosing this one. I like wearing this one to work, actually. So yeah, Jardin is my fourth choice. My next choice is going to be one from Kenzo, and this fragrance is called Kenzo World. I've had this one since before I started YouTube. That's how old this one is in my collection. And this fragrance always makes me think of being in a cool bubble bath filled with red currants and strawberries. It's got a real fruity feel to it, but it's also got a lot of ambroxan. I think that's what gives it that crystal clear, aquatic freshness to it, but it also is quite enveloping, and it's quite sweet as well. Ambroxan is something that I really have a love-hate relationship with. Depending upon what other things are with it, it can really bother me or I can really enjoy it. And this is one of the few fragrances where I really enjoy the ambroxan. So that's my next choice, Kenzo World. So my next choice is going to be one that I just always want to reach for. No matter what my mood, I'm always happy to wear this fragrance. And I feel like those fragrances are really precious in your collection. So this one's La Petite Robe Noire Plissée by Guerlain. So this fragrance, I think I really like it because I just like the La Petite Robe Noire DNA. I absolutely love Black Perfecto. This one's just fresher, and it's got an apricot-y feel to it as well, which I just really enjoy. So this fragrance is just really soft and enveloping, and it's got that powdery rose, the almond and the tea, but also that lovely musk as well in the dry down. So that's my next choice, La Petite Robe Noire Plissée. So the next fragrance is going to be one from Jardin, and I actually made a review video ranking all of their fragrances, all 11 fragrances. And as part of that review video, Jardin actually gave me 2 5ml samples so I could finish making that video because I was short of 2 fragrances. One of these fragrances that they gave me was called Venus of Verbena, and that's the one I'm going to put on the tray. And this one I ranked pretty low. I feel like this one was near the bottom of my ranking. And whilst I really like the opening of this fragrance, there's something in the dry down that I'm not sure about, and I just want to work it out more. I want to learn more about this fragrance and see, you know, if it's something that I can learn to like more or whether it's something that I truly don't enjoy. There's something kind of oily, floral, citrusy, musky in the dry down, something a little bit cloying that I'm just not loving. So that's why I'm putting that one on my fragrance tray, to just work it out more. Venus of Verbena. So finally, I'm going to choose some more minimalistic feeling fragrances. My first choice is going to be probably what is my favourite celebrity fragrance that I've tried. And this one is Pharrell Williams' Girl. So this fragrance, I just think it's so different for a celebrity fragrance. So this fragrance, I think, was produced in collaboration with Comme des Garçons, the niche brand. And I think you can definitely tell that there's their influence here. It's very different, this one. I think, you know, when I picked this up, it was £10, £12. I think you can still get it. You know, I've seen it on eBay a lot, brand new bottles on eBay for £10 or £12. I'm sure you could probably find it if you do want it. But I wouldn't say this one's going to be for everyone. It is quite artistic feeling, and I think it's something that is not a note profile that would be typical for celebrity fragrances, which is probably why I enjoy it. So this is a aromatic but sweet violet fragrance, and then as it dries down it becomes leathery, it becomes woody, and there's also a chocolatey patchouli that comes in, but you still have that violet in the background. And I think that's what I really like about this fragrance. So yeah, just one of my favourite celebrity fragrances, really long lasting. It's quite peppery too actually when you first spray it. So this one's Pharrell Williams Girl. So the next minimalistic fragrance I'm going to choose is one from All Saints, and this is Metal Wave. So this fragrance is really a vanilla fragrance. It's a woody vanilla fragrance, but it's got a green freshness to it. And I think that's probably from the juniper in the opening. The green freshness really calms down and it turns more into a pencil shavings vanilla. But I just really like this one because it's also a little bit metallic. I just find it really interesting. I seem to neglect this one. I don't know why, because I feel like this fragrance is really very me. And it's something that I know I'm going to be happy to wear to work. So that's Metal Wave by All Saints. So my final fragrance choice for September is going to be one that I got last year along with another fragrance from this house. And this fragrance is called Lunar Dust by Mabel Orama. So this fragrance, I think it was probably one of my favourites of 2023. And that's why I'm putting this one on my tray, because I know I'm going to enjoy it. So this one is a silvery, ethereal feeling iris fragrance. If you think about how iris is in a lot of fragrances, it's quite heavy sometimes, even cloying, a little bit too powdery sometimes. This is not like that at all. It's definitely much lighter. The iris is just super sparkly and it really does evoke the feeling of moon dust. It dries down into a slightly more woody, slightly sweeter feel, but it's really one of those kind of molecular fragrances. I think if you like fragrances like Glossier You, but you want something sweeter, something sparklier, and something sort of more ethereal feeling, this fragrance really could be for you. I know Mabel Orama now is going into other countries, so I think this one's going to be available elsewhere shortly. And I know she's working on a third fragrance, so I can't wait to sample that one either. So this is Mabel Orama's Lunar Dust. So that's the final fragrance in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please press the like button and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know, how did you get on with your own fragrance trays in August? What did you end up wearing the most and what did you end up not reaching for? What's on your fragrance tray for September? And thank you so much for watching and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.